Hello YouTube, it's me FuzzyCow, and today I would like to talk about the Destruction Rush theme deck. This video is requested by SmithyKid278, so thank you for that, and I hope you enjoy the show. First card I'd like to show you is Dunsparce. Dunsparce isn't a particularly good card, but it's a little underrated in my opinion. One of the best features that it has is its free retreat cost. Second Bite is useful as a finisher, but it does require you to have previous damage. Inkay is not good, so we're not going to really focus on it. One thing that we do have to look at though is Dark Pokemon have a fighting weakness, so that's kind of a bad thing. Malamar has 100 HP. Mental Panic does 30 damage for 1, and it makes so your opponent has the potential to not attack next turn. This is huge, as it allows you to have your opponent stalled. Sandile is not very important. Krokorok can be considered okay, and Crocodile is very disappointing. Krokodok has 90 HP with Crunch, which can potentially discard an energy, and Darkness Fang for 60 for 3. That's not the best. One thing these Pokemon all share is a 3 retreat cost, so when they go into the active spot, they're kind of dead. Crocodile starts out great with 140 HP, but his attacks are kind of disappointing. Bother does 50, and Knockback does 80. Knockback forces your opponent to switch Pokemon, which is something they usually want to do, so you can probably get one KO with it, but you can't get more. Yveltal is the best card in the deck. It has 130 HP and from basic. The first attack is Oblivion. For 1 Darkness Energy, you get to deal 30 damage and take a Darkness Energy from your discard pile and attach it to your Pokemon. Darkness Blade deals 100 damage and has a downside that if you flip tails, you can't attack next turn. However, you can retreat into your other Yveltal, which can then use Darkness Blade to deal 200 damage in 2 turns. Zorua is not a very impressive Pokemon at first light, but Nasty Plot is a wonderful attack. For 2 energy, you can search your deck for a card. It has 1 retreat cost, so you can even save that if you need to. Zorua is very good at setting up Yveltals, and it allows you to get going. Diglett's not very important. Dugtrio, though, is. It's a very offensive-based Pokemon. For 1 fighting energy, you can deal 60 and 10 damage to each of your Pokemon. For Ruck Tumble, you can basically ignore that afterthought, but it's a very offensive Pokemon. Rhyhorn I thought was good because it had 80 HP, but it's a very low offense. So putting it out there with its 3 retreat cost basically means it's going to die. Timber isn't very important, but Girder is not bad. The first attack, Pummel, is pretty terrible, but Hammer Arm for 2 fighting energy, you can deal 60 and discard the top card of your opponent. However, there's only 6 fighting energy in your deck, so that's kind of risky. The top 3 Pokemon here are terrible. Lillipup, Herdier, and Swallow aren't bad. Jump On is not a terrible attack from Herdier, I have to admit, but Tallow and Lillipup have no saving graces. Evosoda is great. I like Max Revive because it allows you to get your Pokemon you need. I like grabbing Yveltal, Malamar, or Dugtrio. Pokeballs, okay. I prefer something else. Potion is not health thing, so it's not horrible. Professor's Letter, I love Professor's Letter. It allows you to get the energies you need. Roller Skates is a draw card, and it's deck, so Shauna is a draw card, so we have to like it, and Tierno is the worst draw card, but again it's a draw card in the theme deck, so we kind of have to like it. So the other card that we have is Shadow Circle. Shadow Circle is very situational. If you have opponents using Pokemon that have weakness, it's very good. If not, well, it's a card. You have 12 Darkness Energy and 6 Fighting Energy in your deck. And now we're going to go into a game. Now, I'd like to start talking about the Destruction Rush theme deck. I found it was very disappointing because it has very low draw power. You had to use every card efficiently. Now, our game is against JoeJoeBob77. He plays the Dark Hammer theme deck, which is the deck to beat at this point. So I hope that we'll have a challenging game, and we'll see how this deck goes. We do have a lot of weakness because they have our fighting as their main type, and we're mainly weak to fighting. However, our Yveltal does have a resistance to fighting, which is good. Now we're going to start off with a Zorua and a lot of energy. I like this. Believe it or not, this is not a bad hand in my opinion. Zorua is never bad in the starting. So what we're going to do is we're going to plop down the Zorua. We're going to try to start feeding him. We have that Professor's Letter in our hand, which allows us to get even more energy. I do put down the Lillipup there just in case they knock out the Zorua real quick. I don't want to be left standing there with nothing to do. So I'm going to, of course, attach to Zorua and pass. I'm going to use Nasty Plot next turn no matter what. And it looks like they're going to be trying to get out their Pangoro. Now, Pangoro has a weakness to fighting, and I know this. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to do a different strategy, and I'm going to get out my Dugtrio. This is kind of an interesting strategy for me. It's one that I kind of made up on the fly, and I don't know if it was really the most effective strategy, but it's the one I'm going to choose. So I'm going to go with Diglett. And next turn, I'm going to put it down, grab a Dugtrio. Everything's going to be swell. So next thing I'm going to talk about is what my opponent's doing. My opponent sees that I'm getting out my Diglett. So he knows eventually I'm going to have a Dugtrio, and this Pangoro is going to go down. So he's building up a Hariyama. This is a good move from him. It allows him to get what he needs, makes so that he has something to do after I knock out his big Pokemon, doesn't invest all the energy and onto one Pokemon, and he kind of spreads it out. This is good. I kind of maybe make a misplay here by using this Evo Potion or Evo Soda to get out the Krokorok. In my opinion, Krokorok is better than this Crocodile, so I'm going to leave him not evolved, and I'm going to grab my Dugtrio. While I'm looking for my Dugtrio, I find that there's Yveltal in my deck, so that's a good thing. I like seeing Yveltal, but I'm not going to get him out immediately because I need to deal some major damage right now, and I think that a Dugtrio could knock out this Pangoro in one hit. Then he can survive a hit from the Hariyama, deal some 60 damage to that, which is half its health, and then my Krokorok can finish the damage. Now I choose to get out my Yveltal here, finally. Yveltal is great, so I'd love to have one. I also have a lot of energy in play. But right now I'm really kind of focusing on powering up this Krokorok, and I'm going to give one energy to the Yveltal just in case, because it is very good. Now I kind of need energy now. I need energy, so I'm just going to take the other Professor's Letter, grab 2 energy instead of 1. And now I think I have everything I need in order to take out what I see from my opponent. So I feel I'm in a good situation right now. Mainly, again, all I did with all this game is use nasty plot, nasty plot, nasty plot. Now this damage is kind of terrible from this earthquake, but it's something I have to live with. It's not a major concern. I do have plans, so I'm not really worried. I just kind of want my plans to go well. That's fundamentally what I'm after. And my plans are going well. So I have everything is in my corner. I'm going to, it looks like I'm going to crush, but my opponent uses Pokemon Center Lady and kind of ruins my plans. So now I have to put up my Yveltal. I was hoping to kind of power that one up later, but that's okay if I use it now. He's going to be used to power up my bench. I don't want to invest too much energy on him, especially as I don't have any energy left in my hand. And so I'm going to use him to power up my bench, make it so that my opponent has to consider something. He also lays down that very annoying Landorus. Landorus ruins my plans again because I'm weak to fighting and I don't have my shadow circle out. So I'm afraid of the Landorus and I need a plan. So I decide I'm not going to risk my big Crocodile. I am instead going to risk my Dunsparce. So my Dunsparce, because of the second bite, is going to knock out this Hariyama. That's a very mighty Dunsparce. So that's I think that's a use, it's a successful use of Dunsparce. Again, I should be up on the energy trade, as my opponent has used way more energy than me. And so now I'm going to sacrifice this last Yveltal that I have to power up my bench some more, because I'm starting to run out of energy. I need to be conservative of resources because I don't have draw power. I know my opponent should have very few energy, so if I can knock out this Landorus, which I should be able to do, I'll be in a very good spot, and I should be able to pull the win out from there. My opponent should have almost no energy left in the deck, so all I have to do is basically draw my shadow circle before they draw their energy. I have that Zorua. I was going to Zorua for it, but I realized that if I do that right now, well, I lose the game because he puts out anything, and I lose. So now my opponent has spent a whole ton of energy, and I basically am hoping that he can't find any until I find my shadow circle. If he does, I lose. There's not much I can do about that. So maybe I shouldn't have used my, maybe I should have bothered the Mind Shao and not made him switch, but I decided to do this instead. It's a mistake. It's a mistake that will probably cost me. There he goes. He grabs his energy from Professor's Letter, probably the last 2 energy he had in the deck, and he's putting pressure on me, making it so that I have to knock out this guy. And it's not really a big deal. Basically, I've lost the game at this point. He has energy, so I'm in a bit of trouble. Thank you, JoeJoeBob77. I enjoyed the game, and I hope Smithy Kid enjoyed this video. I hope to see you.